In this next episode is a little bit extended because it comes with now an epilogue. Things that were told to her are about to be fulfilled. This then becomes the episode 10 and final episode of the prequel, or in this case, the missing series 9, because again, the relative king of House of Lannis had promised to keep this out of the history to save her from too much indignity and humiliation because of the sensitive royal politics involved. Thus becomes episode 10 of the prequel, Lost Pages of Time, the prophecy fulfilled. In chapter 1, there is a rejection of past pleasures and future relations, because again the night seems to persist, and this time she is starting to get angry and tells him that he needs to keep his distance because she is not interested. There is a prophecy to be fulfilled, and he then is starting to get about frustrated because he loves her very much, and she senses this, but their destinies are no longer to be together. She has to remain pure to the one that is due to arrive and lead her to victory, as the visionary had once told her. Again, he leaves, but in a manner to which he doesn't even bow and leaves, and she doesn't, of course, correct him on this uh, manner that he has done, because she knows that he is very upset, distraught, but it is her destiny not to be with him. And she has made this promise to the visionary that she must hold true to the prophecy that's about to be fulfilled. In the meantime, Daenerys then decided to consult her handmaiden, and they meet in the meeting room and decides to discuss things regarding this persistent night. I have called you in here because there's some other things I feel I made a mistake on long ago. As you know, a woman who is alone for so long has a hard time struggling, especially if one is a queen like myself, and certain needs are not met. And at first, well, in regards to this night, as this time he has left, not in an appropriate manner, but you mean he didn't even so much as bow before you? You know, but I'm not going to complain about it or have him disciplined for this. I think that if I was in his shoes, I would feel the same, but I feel guilty about it because, well, the first time he entered my chambers without permission, bearing flowers, he was to be humiliated, and so I made him drop his clothes. Unfortunately, though I will confess, he, well, seemed to be well to do in the right areas. So he kind of looks with a smile. And of course, being without companionship, I decided that as long as he is going to be persistent, that I would not only do him a favor, which would be of a great honor for him, but it would be doing me a favor as well to meet my needs physically and sexually. I can laugh about it now because well, I had these needs that needed to be met. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I do, Daenerys. It's not easy for a queen to not have anyone to wake up to in the morning, if I'm speaking appropriately. Yes, you are. So, if you had to meet some kind of needs and he's persistent, I would imagine, then he brought this on himself. I suppose you're right. But I feel guilty because I should have been a little more strict and firm and not give in to such temptations. So eventually, after the first time we made love, it was pleasing, and we've kind of in secret been doing this for quite some time, and I've always enjoyed the company of him being in my chambers and in my bed. But also being a queen, I knew that a suitor had to be one of nobility and royalty. And once I realized this, I couldn't just marry a knight. Though he served me well in bed. She laughs about this. It is just something that I know that I cannot do. It would be forbidden. That is true, my queen. He would have to at least hold the title of a duke. Yes, and I had even told him this not long ago, after learning all that there was to learn from the visionary, that he would at least have to have that title in order for me to consider him at the very minimum. And I don't see where he's going to get that title. But even after the meeting that we had in the throne room about the things we found on the beach and what we saw in the Valerian night sky of this dark blue star before this other sign happened after the meeting, that I could tell his heart is breaking, and I feel so bad about it. And if I could go back and undo things that I did in the past, I would, but I can't. And I blame myself because I should have not given in to temptation, and that is my fault. I I'm not sure what I can do, because though he serves me well as a knight, I know I have to reject the pleasures that I once enjoyed with him, and I have to reject the relations we had because of this stranger that's coming to our world. I don't know if somewhere later down the road there's going to be problems that builds because of this or not. I would hope that he wouldn't think ill of me. Deanerys, yes. I think that perhaps this is another one of those learning experiences. The excuse me, is okay. I think that even though you're a queen, and yes, you miss the pleasures of company and relations that comes in a partner whom you would mate with, that the lesson to be learned is that the position of a queen, it does not come easy. And you are right, Missandei, and you speak well. Please continue. I think that even though he has deep feelings for you because of what you shared together, it for him is going to be a loss of his heart, not yours, because you know what you must do. But for him, it's like he may feel used and betrayed because of his feelings that were built for you. I know. And if only he could understand that I can't undo what has been done. I am so sorry that I did not remain firm in my ruling and my customs and traditions, and I blame myself for this. The knight is very good. I mean, well, yes, he's good in bed, but he is also very good as one with a loving heart, and he's always been there for me. But I can't do anything else. I wish he could understand that. And I am so sorry that I've done what I've done. Do you think that there'd be anything I could do to ease his pain? I mean, I can't have a relation with him, but certainly there must be something, or somehow, to get him to understand that this destiny is not something that either he or I can change. Well, I think that in time he will have to come to terms and realize that your position as a queen is much farther in distance than his of being a knight. And because now the prophecies have been opened by the visionary, you know where you have to be in your position, and he's going to have to learn where his is going to have to be at. It will be hard for him to take. He will feel loss and emptiness. He will probably have some hatred and at the same time some love mixed. His feelings will be confused and torn apart because he's no longer able to share your bed and your feelings and your love. But this is something that, for the first time, Daenerys, I can't advise you on. I wish I could. It's okay. The only thing I can tell you is to maybe be a little more open to him, and so long as he treats you with dignity and respect, maybe show a little more to him, and maybe try to get him to understand. Perhaps it might smooth things over a little bit, and if he's receptive enough, he will try to see things your way and maybe understand. You will always have, of course, a place for this knight in your heart because of the things that you said that you shared with him that probably shouldn't have been. Yes. And I'm pretty sure he's going to have a place in your heart as well, because those are moments that can never be easily just tossed out or forgotten. Maybe he might be understanding, but I think time is what's going to be required to mend his heart, and he will continue to serve you because you are his queen as much as you are mine and all the other people of Marine. Well, I do thank you for these words of wisdom, Missandei. I will try to do my best to try to smooth things over with him. I do regret the things that I've done, because now, for one to have a mixed feeling of hatred and love for me does somewhat worry me, but at the same time, it makes me feel shame that I was not stronger, and I wish I could undo the things that I've done. It is okay, Deanerys, you have to remain strong. As a visionary said, when you can freely admit the mistakes you made, you truly are being a queen. So with this, Daenerys smiles. Again, you give me strength through your words, Missandei. I have chosen well, having you as my handmaiden. Thank you, Daenerys. I do try, hope you know I try my best, and you do. I am going to consider everything you have told me and apply them as best as I can and as delicately as I can in how to handle the feelings that this knight will be going through, because it will be painful for him. And hopefully he will understand and come to terms and accept what must be done, what shall be done, and there is no undoing of it. Anyway, this, of course, is in confidence as usual. Yes, Daenerys. And I thank you for meeting me on this issue to help me figure out how to handle this. Well, I always try to serve you well, my queen, and you have, and I know you will continue to do so. Well, if there is nothing further, my queen, I shall go ahead and take my leave then. Yes, that is all I wanted to talk to you about. All right then. And so with that, Missandei leaves, and Daenerys then sits thinking on the good times that her and this knight had, and of how she regrets having done what she did now because of the prophecy that's going to be coming soon about this stranger, and knowing that being a queen, certain things that ordinary women would be allowed to do, she is under a certain restriction because of her position, and has to accept the fact that she has to show certain proper mannerisms and protocols of etiquette being a queen. So it gives her much to think about in Solitude. She thinks back on the time when she did conquer King's Landing, or the time that she was about to anyway, with the Dothraki that was she had led, and as to whether he ever found a cure for the sandstone type disease. And eventually, someone tells her that he had been found, and that he was not himself, that apparently a cure could not be found in time, and it appeared that he took his own life. They don't reveal the body to her because of the state it's in, being somewhat that she could not look upon him. But she has a feel of loss of hope and a friend, because she, even though had sent him away long ago, when she did have the Palace of Marine, she is at least able to look upon his face, because the disease that is no cure, although he probably did his best to find one, has not taken over on his face. And so after viewing upon him and paying her respects to him, well, and given proper burial, because he is still a knight, she sometimes even feels regret that perhaps maybe she acted too hastily and didn't give him a chance like she should have. But she'll always remember the good memories they had as they traveled together when she was with her husband Drogo. So he is given a proper ceremonial burial. Once in this next scene, this would be, of course, an alternate scene, depending on how the Series 7 of the original Game of Thrones, and finally the Series 8, which is the finale of the original Game of Thrones, turns out. If it does turn out that he survived but didn't find a cure, then this alternate scene would be used in showing that he received a proper burial based on this musical scene. On the other hand, if he didn't find a cure, then another alternate scene will be made, and this one omitted or removed. Daenerys will always cherish these moments that she remembers of the first night that was with her since she was with her husband Drogo. And she goes in the throne room and sits down and waits to see if there's any business to be attended to. She wonders if the stranger will merely just walk in the palace and present himself, or will it be like the visionary said, she will actually find him on the beach. While waiting for those who wish to see her in the throne room, she then takes on another vision, reflecting back on things of the signs and the symbols and things discovered up to present. And she will always cherish the memory she had with the first night, and now thinks of the things that she has yet to look forward to. Will this one be anything like the first night she had? Though he will not, of this other world, replace the memories that she had with her first night, it makes her kind of, in a way, like, though she's looking at something at the bottom of the steps, it's as if she's in a trance, seeing things that has taken shape up to present, and thus gives her the fond memories of things discovered and things yet to come. Again, being under pressure, there's a last chance for a suitor and time for a decision. They pressure her much and tell her that if they do not receive a decision within the next 2 days, that certain people who can, upon grouping together equal to that of a king or queen, and that it will be by their decision, she will have to step down. She understands this and now is very distraught and not sure when is this person supposed to appear. Her and Missandei have a great discussion about this, and that she may have no choice but to take a suitor. Who will she marry? There's pretty much being someone who lost that which was considered to be a victory may or may not want her, even if she did choose a suitor. So she goes out, and as it goes into chapter 4, the next, feeling all the pressure, she decides to go take solitude somewhere and think things out. She is almost at the point of disappointment, and she knows she's going to have to confront the visionary because she feels now as if perhaps he was merely trying to cheer her up with false hope and didn't tell her the truth. And as she said before, if he lied to her and deceived her in such a way that it would be her right to have his head. So in which case she not only would have to confront him, but now has to figure out who is she going to marry. She makes her way to this Mount Rocky outcrop and takes her like an overcoat because it gets a little windy up there, and so she has much to think on. What is she to do at this point? Because they are only going to allow her 2 days to make a decision who the suitor is, or once again, she'll be dethroned, and this time she will not have any position of royalty. So finally, she makes her way up and thinking about much, and little does she know that as she stands at the top of this rocky outcrop, she looks about, taking in the scenery, and has much to contemplate. But then something catches the corner of her eye, and this draws her attention to something most unexpected that it'll change her life forever. Yes, Daenerys' mysterious discovery as she stands on the rocky in a very white flowing gown, just not sure what to do. She is so much under pressure, and she does not want to lose another throne, this time being total obscurity, where she would probably, not that she would mind, go live with her uncle because she would basically have nothing then. As this scene gets close to the epilogue of this entire mini-series prologue to prior to the motion picture comes in with the epilogue of the human legends, a stranger of the known world. Once again, as she stands on the rocky outcrop, something catches her eye, and she looks down below. A slight grin comes on her face, and she turns her head slightly, looking out of the corner of her right eye down where she's kind of looking, and her mouth drops open a bit. Could he be the one? It looks as if someone's floating in the water, hanging on to something with much anticipation, but using slow caution movement towards that direction. She comes downward from the rocky outcrop, making her winding way through the rocky outcrops to that of the level beach towards his direction. And as she does so, this musical scene then is one of anticipation because he is wearing unusual clothing, like the visionary had said, clothing that she doesn't recognize. It is a shade of green and gray. And so thus she makes her slow approach, arms crossed, trying to look somewhat serious, but with a slight grin as to whether this is the one. that the gods had paid her to take care of with strange coins and with all the signs. Could this be the human? During the last part of the musical scene, she examines him carefully and cautiously, not knowing whether she should touch him or not. He struggles and she kind of backs away quickly and cautiously. He moves, and though she seems very excited about this, like a young teenage girl again, looks at him from head to toe, and she sees that he's trying to. She kind of watches and doesn't really try to help him, but watches his arms and hands try to grab this sand, and as if what he's trying to do with it. And this human, of course, is feeling the sand between his fingers, like trying to figure what the sand is, or maybe look for something in it. And she finally decides to be brave, and with her hands slightly shaky from excitement, tells this stranger, "Easy, I have come to help you," and touches him. He stops. She lifts her hand up a bit, but then gently puts her hand back on him, and with both hands rolls him over. And the stranger opens his eyes, and she has a big smile, her hair partly dangling in his face, not intentionally, but he suddenly smiles at her, and she smiles back. He has hazel blue eyes, nothing like she could have ever imagined. His hair is dark brown, and he kind of reaches up towards her, but she sits back suddenly. She's not sure if she should allow him to touch her, but she seems very excited about this. This is the one she's supposed to marry. He is frail, and from though she hasn't seen him stand up, looks a bit shorter than him if she's judged his length correctly. She tries to communicate with him. Who are you? Did the gods send you? Are you the one that I am to marry? But he doesn't seem to understand. He looks at her as if he's trying to understand, but he touches his ear and shakes his head. You can't understand me, can you? Eventually, you will learn our language, I assure you of this, if you should live. But we have to get you out of these wet clothes, for which are strange, like the visionary said. I don't know what I'm going to do. Because you'll probably freeze and get sick. Being from another world, I welcome you to our world. I wish I knew your name. I am Daenerys Storeborn of the House Targaryen. This probably doesn't make any sense to you either, because you're not of our world. You may hear me speaking, I'm sure you don't understand anything I'm saying. She kind of has a slight laugh and smile to this. She looks at him sweetly. But you are a very unique treasure indeed. You may... she kind of stops, thinks, should she say it? But then again, if he doesn't understand, it probably won't matter. You're probably going to be the only one of your kind here. No others will be able to, of your kind will be here. So it is my duty as queen to take care of you now. She stands up and kind of looks away to her right, well, somewhat facing him. And again, he reaches up and she hears him say something that she also doesn't understand his language. Don't go, please. Even though he spoke these words, she also doesn't understand his language. She looks down at him somewhat sternly. You are the one that's going to bring me victory. But then her demeanor changes with this big smile. But you are somewhat very attractive. Dirty because you watched the short the way you did. She laughs about this. But I think once we clean you up, yes, I can see there's an attraction here. You speak. This is good. I have many questions for you, and I don't trust you yet. But that is to be expected, because I don't know what your motives are, if you're going to take my throne, or my life, or both. The visionary said that I am to treat you well, and so not to break our customs and traditions. I must abide by the wisdom that's given me, because symbolism is everything, and one soon you will learn about this. But in the meantime, I need to take care of you. My uncle would probably say I found me a new pet. Perhaps he's right.
for I do delight in what I see, and you're not like any man of this world, not in clothing like this. She knows she can't drag him because even though he is shorter and she's a bit stronger, it might draw too much attention to herself. But she did make a decree that any knight was not to harm him or spoil him or mar him in any way. She looks back down at him with a big smile. You will be inside soon, and when we learn to speak each other's language, you and I will have much to talk about. I'm going to send someone. They're not going to harm you. You just do what they tell you. I know you can't understand me, but I'm sure you'll get the idea. And so with that, then she finally heads back towards the Pyramid Palace, very somewhat fast paced and with much anticipation and excitement.